We're good.
We were good?
We're good.
We're live?
All right.
We are live.
We're cooking, and we're cooking over there.
We're cooking tri-tip.
Yeah.
It's windy. We're probably going to have some background noise today. We apologize, but we wanted to do this
Kind of.
outside.
It is what it is.
It is.
But how's it going, John?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we decided to do something a little different than we've done before. And we just got back from Antelope Camp probably a week ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're fortunate enough to get 6 of the 8 of us that were out there here to talk about our hunt.
Yeah.
So I'm super stoked about this one.
Yeah.
Should be
great.
fun. Yeah.
First of all, cheers to
Absolutely.
a successful hunt,
Cheers.
everybody.
Woo.
Cheers to everybody.
Yeah. Woo. This will be our first drunk podcast. Just saying.
Yeah. If we'd have did it the night before last time,
Right.
it'd have been. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
It
but
was a blast.
There'd have been a lot of bleeping.
Right. Right.
God only knows what else. It was an awesome time. It was an awesome. But I don't know if we might have been able to pull it off just because getting things to work right and remembering what to do.
Yeah. Actually hitting record. That's important.
Yeah.
Doesn't always happen.
Yeah. Yeah. All of a sudden the camera goes in the air.
Right.
It's getting tight.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Good times.
Hit the volume.
Yeah, turn the volume on. We did have some audio issues. For those of you guys that don't know, we went 8 for 8. I think that's the first time that has ever happened out there.
So, and it's not. I mean, it is a very good spot, but the heat. It's not like it happens every year, because look how many times. I think one year everyone out there pretty much hunted this year, and I think Jared and I were the only ones that killed one year.
Yep, the 1 year, yeah.
Yeah, and we were lucky to pull off what we did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
it was. That was a
but
rough
this year was kind of exceptionally warm. The first part of the season,
Kinda?
which is
It
okay.
was hot as hell.
I don't know. I didn't have to
When
stay
you're
in my
sweating.
blind long enough.
That's true.
When you're sweating and you feel it running down your back,
It's like, that white stuff you see in a horse is like,
Yeah.
I think I kind of had that going on.
Yeah, it was a little frothy.
That's awesome.
yeah.
Before we go any further, because I can see it's going to get totally out of hand, we know who all these guys are, but they may not. So I think we should introduce everybody.
Jared Jordan,
Mike Jordan,
Father
Frank
son.
Potts.
Scott Holmes.
These are all guys that our big connection is hunting, and our even bigger connection is hunting antelope out there.
Yeah.
And we all try to do it together every year. Doesn't always work out with us all out there, but this year was like the perfect storm.
It was
Yeah.
the perfect storm.
Yeah.
I mean, it couldn't ask for better camp. Not even the success, but just a fun camp.
Oh.
The success obviously just adds to it, and we always like that. But
I just kind of like having Daryl out there. He was like cooked breakfast burritos.
Right?
that was good. Yeah.
Hook me up,
Thanks
dude.
to
He
Barrett.
was up
I was
there.
gonna say,
Mike, it took a little pressure off of you,
I was
actually.
happy, and they were still warm when I ate them. It was wonderful.
I was telling John, next year that's what we should do is everyone just. But I think you guys pretty much do that. Everyone make a meal like that.
yeah.
But
Same.
but yeah, the breakfast burrito thing was like, it was awesome.
It was
Yes,
awesome.
it was.
It worked
Yeah.
good.
So, yeah.
Anyway.
So even
was a
after I
little
told him no, I still sat around and waited for him.
Oh yeah, he said no, I gotta get going, and then you
And we
smelled
still
it or
waited.
whatever.
That's the day everybody was sitting there and deciding whether we were going to leave or not at what time. And
Yeah.
you were talking and said, "Man, is anybody getting up over there?"
Oh yeah,
And then
my alarm
finally-
went off at 5:15, then 6, and I asked Tussie, I was like, anybody up? And he goes, I don't think they'll be getting up.
Well, I told Jared, I said, that's probably Frank leaving, but I couldn't tell the sound. I was listening to the sound of the four-wheelers side-by-sides leaving. I was like, I don't know. If that's Frank or if that's John, I don't know. They sounded so much alike. I was like, but that's Frank. And it was.
It was.
He's always out.
Right. But in reality, we don't that hunt, we don't take it. We all want to kill, but we don't take it too serious. We don't. We talked about this a little bit in the last podcast about we don't hunt together. Other than this hunt, it's really the only hunt we all do together.
Yeah.
And we just have fun with it, and it's more of a mental.
It's
hunt
relaxing.
Than
It's a great way to start the fallout.
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
mean, it is.
Yeah, it is. It
So-
is.
anyway,
but it's good.
Yeah.
we going to talk about our different hunts?
Well, I first want to mention that the boys, which would be Jared, Scott, and my son Jack, who is obviously in Wyoming and couldn't make it, but they kicked our ass.
Oh, size-wise?
Size-wise, they kicked our ass.
I thought size didn't matter. Well, kudos to them for, I mean, I felt honestly, and I think I may have talked about this in the last podcast, but if I didn't, I'm going to say it, or if I did, I'm going to say it again. You know, I feel fortunate. I know you guys have been hunting out there, a lot of you, a lot longer than me, and I feel fortunate just to get invited to go out there. So I don't take it for granted that I got to kill the biggest one. There's been a couple years where I have, and it just happened to be like that. But I appreciate, you know, going out there and like I said, this year I could have maybe tried to held out for something bigger. Who knows? But you never know.
Right.
You know, it could have been.
No.
Sometimes, you know, the old saying, never shoot past something the first day, you'd shoot on the last. And after I saw a few bucks, I'm like, you know what? I better, after missing the $1, I thought, you know what? I'm not going to like be picky, because I had passed up a couple smaller bucks by then.
Right.
And I thought, I'm not going to be picky. You know, I appreciate just coming out here, and I love the meat enough that I'm not going to,
Right.
you know.
And you were the first one.
I was, yeah.
And that was probably like, we knew we had to kill $8, or we're hoping to kill $8.
Yeah.
So that probably, my guess is that had something to do with your decision on killing the
that
buck
was
that
another
you
thing
shot.
too. There's you know, there's plenty of bucks running around, but it was a lot of people, and I thought if I could get mine out of the way, since, you know, Tussie was flying out from Florida a couple days later, I thought that'll give me a chance to film him and anybody else that needs, you know, it could not have worked out better, because as people killed out, then they were able to film the next guy. And so, you know, that was
Well, you just filed in after, and it just worked perfect, because everybody could just, you know, I don't think, half of us sat one day or something they killed.
Yeah.
And it just filed right into people jumping in the next guy, jumping in. So
it worked out perfect.
It
was actually funny too, because like Mike and Jared weren't scheduled to come out until Monday, and I just kept texting them.
You ruined my
Daryl's
elk
done.
hunt.
Mike's done.
You ruined his elk
Scott's
hunt, man.
done. Jack's done. They showed up 2 days
We're out. We're going.
I was elk hunting, and then after the fourth text saying they're done, I'm like, yeah, see you guys. I'm going now.
But it was so, I mean, realistically, it was so hot elk hunting that it was probably a good
miserable.
call.
Yes, it was miserable. And we were just
the thing about elk is, you know, when it's hot for antelope, you can get them cooled down quick enough and everything. But elk, most every time you got to pack it out, so you have such a higher chance of it spoiling. That's the good thing about, you know, and now it's cooling down. I wish you could get to go, but
I know.
So yeah.
Right.
Anyway, we'll talk a little bit about elk hunting here, and
We will. We'll close her out with that, 'cause that's coming.
Yeah.
That's coming
Good
for
idea.
most of us.
Yeah.
Scotty, you were next.
Yeah. So it was probably about 9 o'clock. You sent me an inReach, said Daryl's had a few, nothing too crazy, and I haven't seen anything until like right after that.
right after I passed you, huh?
Oh, well, no, it was so it was like right after he messaged me, and then they were coming in.
Okay.
But nothing crazy, but they were all coming in. Just, I mean, it's super cool to watch. Like,
Sure.
you know, they're 15 yards away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you just almost forget, like, you just see them and they're coming in, and it's like you're not even there.
Yeah.
It's just cool to watch.
Yeah.
But, and then you got yours, and then after that it kind of died down and just kind of sat there, but it's all good.
So did Daryl drive by you?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, I felt bad
I went
because
and talked to him a little bit, but there was nothing in there, so.
But when I drove by, I saw a couple antelope. They were out their ways. You said they were small and they've been
and
hanging out.
they were actually bedded down there.
Were they?
Yeah.
And you know, it's such a tough thing, because on that particular spot, you come over the hill and it's like boom, there's the blind, and the antelope are in there, and so I was a little leery. I didn't want to blow it for him at all.
That.
What's
You'll
that?
hear that here shortly.
Yeah.
Redone that.
You done? Oh yeah. That's, yeah. You can't get away with that. That's on film even.
It was
But you know, so I was a little leery, but I was glad, because I got to talk to him and let him know what was up and head on out.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah, that this is about 11:30, right?
When
you drove on by.
By the time, really, was that, yeah. Because I think I shot that buck probably about 20 after 9. By the time I did a recovery, and I took my time. I mean, it was early, and took some pictures and all that, and got everything out of my blind and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so.
Yeah, because I was out of there before noon.
Yep.
With the antelope, I mean, heading out in my truck.
Yeah, and so pretty much after that, it was pretty dead.
Was it?
And kind of, just sitting there, baking in the heat, and just getting ready, it was like starting to, frothy. I was dozing off, and it was just getting hot in there, and so finally I had, like, the entire blind opened up, like, all around the back of me, head out the window, and just, I'm pretty sure I was snoring, like, and then I don't know what it was, but I just sat right up and looked over, and this goat was coming from the backside where none of the other came up.
Really?
And I was like, all right, sat back up, slowly clipped up all my windows, and he stood there the entire time. I was able to get my camera set up, move over.
Yeah.
And actually had to crack open my blind to get a shot because he's on that backside. And he took a few steps, and then he was at like 26 yards at this point. And he moved just far enough to where I shot through the blind. So,
hit the blind?
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't barely shoot through the blind.
It was like 6 inches down.
Wow. I don't know how he even hit
in the net. In the net part of the blind.
Through the blind.
And you still hit it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Perfect cut. Both lungs. It was still a great shot, luckily.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah, arrow quartered away, arrow went right through, and he ran 20, 30 yards and then just expired right there. So
you're paper tuning your bow.
Right.
Yep.
Had a little tear to the left.
That's hilarious.
Canvas tuning.
Yes, he did.
There'll be a piece of duct tape on there next year.
Well, you said you wanted a
I
new one
think
anyways,
we're going to retire that blind. Well, actually, we're going to use it.
Did it work okay?
It
like
did.
that where I taped it and everything? Yeah.
Oh, it was perfect. Yeah, that was great. Mike gave me an extra because I broke a pole when I was setting it up, and I don't even know how the heck I did it because I didn't make sense.
You don't know your own strength, John.
I know. Yeah, I'll work out.
Yeah.
It'll go that far. It'll go that far.
Right.
Oh! Nope, it won't go that far.
Anyway, Mike had given me another pole to put in there, and it wasn't going to work. We thought it would, but it didn't. So Daryl had taped it with some electrical tape, and it worked perfect. Yeah, it looks great. So I think we're going to go with that.
There you go.
It'll work for sure.
Yeah. I'm getting a new blind.
Are you?
I don't know. I don't know. I say that every year. I never actually do it. It's
really
like a new bow. I'm going to get a new bow every year. I'm still shooting the same bow I've been shooting for like 10 years. I'm getting a new one.
We're going to be rocking some more Zenix next year.
Yeah, I think so.
I do like my blind.
I do too. I loved it. Was fun. I think I've hunted out at one other time, and I kind of sold myself on it this time. The material's awesome.
Yeah, it's not floppy in the wind.
No, exactly. Yeah. So I think I kind of sold myself on that hunt. So
I like that little thing that screws in the hub.
Yeah.
For your.
I haven't tried it yet, but that is a great idea.
Did you guys hunt out of that blind too?
Yeah, we did.
Yep.
So I think it was still there. Maybe I did take it, but it's got a little thing that screws in the hub that your cell phone can sit in.
Oh, that's pretty
and so, like, I try to get drawn back and stuff, and you can turn it on and get all the inside action instead of like a GoPro.
Right.
Which GoPros work great too. But in fact, there's actually adapters for a GoPro, but it screws in the end of the hub.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So
that was cool. So that was 2 down.
2 down.
6 to go.
2 down,
and
opening
Tussie.
day.
And Tussie was next.
Talked about his on the last podcast, but that lasted. You know what, though? Like, as you know, a lot of times I just sleep in my blind.
Right.
And
which I don't get, by the way.
I know you don't. But
we've had this conversation.
But this year, we had some guys who showed up early. You got to put your blinds out 10 days. You can't put out any sooner than 10 days before the season.
Right.
And Frank and Mike had went out the day before you could legally put them out, and they were going to wait till legal time and put them out. And when they got out there, those guys were already putting them out. So they were too early. It wasn't legit.
Nope.
And whatever. I mean, I guess when it comes down to it, it's a moral thing, or ethical thing. If you always got to look in the mirror when it comes to that stuff.
Exactly.
So anyway, but what I was concerned about, when I went out there the day before I actually hunted and got out there that evening, it was super windy. Their blinds were knocked over. One of them looked like, I didn't see him set up, but one of them looked like it rolled up the hill, and the other was laying on its side. I could see all the black, and I drove close enough to see, looked like somebody left a note there or something. Anyway,
I can neither confirm nor deny.
I'm assuming there was
And that's
hearts.
the only thing holding on was a rock. And it stretched out. It was like, is that a piece of lead?
There you go.
I'm assuming there was hearts on that note. But anyway, you know what I was worried about, though? The reason why I slept in my blind, because I had a perfectly good tent at camp, was if they happen to show up, let's just say, the night before at 10 o'clock because they had to work or whatever, and they're blind, like I said, looking at that one, it looked like it went up the hill, and if they didn't find it, I didn't want them to think we did it.
Right.
Exactly. Well,
Which they might have.
That
They
would
might
be the
have.
question.
Yeah.
That would
And
be the
then-
question.
I didn't want them to go to my blind, and
Tear it up.
next thing you know, it's on their hole or
Right.
something,
Right.
So I thought,
I like this as an ex-blind.
yeah.
But the reality of it is, one of our tents got blown over too.
That's true.
Yeah.
It was windy. Yeah. My
brand
tent.
new.
Yeah. Yep.
Kodiak.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it fared good.
It did.
Not as bad as that one year when yours tore.
When mine got tore up, yeah.
Yeah. But that's why I slipped out there, and anyway, it was all fine.
Yeah.
I'm used to it.
So Tussie, if you didn't watch the last podcast, he's
You should.
you're not wrong. It's Mike Tussie. He's the what do he call himself? What's his job title?
He's the main guy for
Nomad
us. But
Outdoors.
no, he actually takes care of like TV shows,
All the social media
personalities,
stuff.
social media, pro staff,
Right.
And he's our kind of go-to guy when it comes to
Nomad.
Nomad.
Yep.
And yeah, he's been. I mean, we weren't obligated at all to even have him come out here.
Right.
But I mean, just talking to him on the phone, through another friend of mine, Perry, he contacted me, which I had dealings with Perry in the past, and just another great guy. We'll be having him on the podcast soon.
Yep.
But through him, Nomad was wanting to get a name presence out here more in the West, and they're, as Mike said, they pretty much own out southeast part of the U.S. But they make some great stuff, and I know that they've asked us a couple years ago what we want to see out here in the West, and we give them our input, and I know they've taken some of it in consideration, which we're super happy about. Totally appreciate everything they've done for us.
Oh man.
But here again, Mike never made us feel obligated at all to invite him out. But he's such a good guy.
Yes.
That we said, let's just bring him. He's never shot an antelope.
Yeah, I was
And-
that was my idea. I thought, he's done so much for us. So
Yeah.
I got a hold of Daryl and said, hey, what do you think? Should we invite him out because it's a fun hunt and it's
It
not,
is. He had a great time.
Yeah, he did. He had
Even
a
though
blast.
his antelope hunt didn't last
Yeah.
very long. 2
About
hours.
2 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty short. But that's what I was going to say earlier, is that this is by far the first year. Usually, because like I said, I do sleep in my tent or my blind. It's usually chilly in the morning,
Yeah.
and the day Mike killed his, man, we both had shorts on
Right.
and
Yeah.
and a t-shirt, and that was it.
Right.
And it wasn't cold at all.
Yeah, I know.
mean, it was.
And I think that made a huge difference for the numbers of goats that were coming
Sure.
in,
Yeah.
and how soon they were coming in.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we'll sit there for a few hours before we see anything. This year it seemed like it was
just
It was
quick.
like
pretty
good.
quick.
Yup.
What?
If you're going to see him the first day, you're going to see him the next day.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
It's just the way it works.
No, that's 100%
Yeah, it's just the way it
correct,
works,
yeah.
man.
Yeah. Yeah. They're
So.
pretty predictable. I mean, the only thing that messes up antelope hunting, in my opinion, is just other people driving by that
Yeah.
can screw it up for
Right.
the most
Yeah.
part.
Right.
Yup.
So, but sometimes that doesn't even hurt.
No,
No.
it doesn't.
No.
People roll up sometimes.
The red side by side,
Yeah.
Yeah.
sitting on the hill.
We have video proof of
Here,
that.
stop right now.
Meaning
Stop.
that much.
Stop. Jared's like, stop. So we watched.
Yeah, so we'll get into that.
They didn't even pay
shortly.
attention to that.
Who was
That
next?
crazy.
So
So
it went.
Jack was next.
Jack. Oh,
Yeah.
Jack.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were driving out. Tussy
Yes.
and I were driving out with his goat
Right?
past John and Jack.
Yeah, we stopped and talked to you guys for a short minute. And then we went, I guess I'll talk for Jack since he's not here. But we went to camp and we set up. Yeah, we had I borrowed some cots, some bunk bed cots from Mike, which are freaking awesome. I mean, I have a set too, but we had 2 sets in that old Kodiak tent, and you sleep 4 guys in there, no problem. You have piles of room still. But anyway, whatever. Side note, we set those up, so that took some time, and then we went and got in the blind, and
You were unloading the
we
blind.
were unloading into the blind, and we still had the buggy sitting literally right next to the blind. Doors were wide open on the buggy, and these antelopes start coming in, and we see them coming down the hill. And I'm like, well, we really can't do anything, so let's just sit here and see. So we shut everything down, and Jack, got ready or whatever, and it seemed like it took forever, but like we talked on the last podcast, I think it was about 18 minutes.
Wow.
Jack drove from Wyoming 8 hours, and then there's another 2.5 hours out there, and this hunt was about 18 minutes long.
I'll never complain about a first day kill or
Especially a decent buck.
Yeah.
And then and he made a great shot. He was quartering away at 30 yards, like exactly 30 yards on the rangefinder, and man, he just plugged that thing.
Yeah.
And
It didn't go far at all.
Did not go far, and that was it. So I think we're up to
Frank.
4 goats at that time, though. And how long did you hunt?
It was me.
It was Jared.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's right. It was
Yeah.
Sunday.
Sunday, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Let's do a total hours in blind. How long were you?
I shot mine at like 9:15, 9:20, and I got there. Well, I slept there.
Yeah,
Right.
but
Don't
what
count.
was daylight?
Daylight was probably
So what do you
It
think?
was about 7, right?
yeah.
So 2
7
hours?
o'clock.
2 hours,
Yeah, a little bit
15
over
minutes?
2 hours.
1:30
So
first day.
do the
so
math for me.
We got there.
7, 8, 9,
6
10,
6
11,
hours.
12, 1.
So 6
or 6 and a half.
8
Yeah.
hours, and we'll give Jack 20 minutes. Oh, and then Tussy. So
2
8
hours.
So 10 hours and 20 minutes. So we've killed 4 goats.
Yeah. That's pretty.
That's okay.
There has been years, dude, where I've sat. I don't even know how many hours I've sat.
Right.
Sat for days.
Right.
Yeah.
And in a wooden blind with virtually no air coming through.
So
it.
you got to go home and motivate yourself to get out there the next day.
Oh yeah.
You got to
It
motivate
is.
yourself to get
It
there.
is,
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
like tough.
Yeah.
Really tough.
So then Jared
Yeah.
topped. He had to make us all look like fools.
Thanks,
We
Jared.
were just playing. Jared was the man this
Yeah.
year.
He was.
There is no doubt he by far killed the biggest buck
Yeah.
out of any. We weren't even close. I don't think he hasn't had scored. It doesn't matter.
No.
That thing was a stud.
Yeah. It was.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, and so I was elk hunting the few days before that, and every time I got service, I'd check my phone, and the old man would text me and say, "Hey, Jack's done, Daryl's done, Scott's done," and it was super hot for elk. It was opening weekend, and so I told the guys I was with, "Hey, I'm heading out. See ya."
Peace out.
Yep, going antelope hunting. So I called the old man that morning and just said, "Hey, I'm coming home. Like, you want to go now?" And he's like, "Yeah, we can." So we loaded up and we headed out there, and it was a long night for us. I'll say the least.
Right.
I didn't want to get up in the next morning, but I heard Frank rustling around out there, so I jumped out and cobwebs and tried to shake him off and got out there. I think we got out there about 7:30. I think later than what we wanted to, but
Oh, in the morning.
yeah. So it was about 8:15, I think, when we saw him. He skylined and he came, and so I think it was like 8:30 when I shot him. But he came around the side of the blind, coming 26 yards, quartering to me, I think, and yeah, then smoked him and didn't go too far. No,
Yeah.
but no, it was fun. I was gonna be picky. I said I was gonna be picky, and then I saw his.
As soon as you turned and you saw
Colors,
those
yeah.
prongs, you were like,
Yeah.
You didn't need to be picky.
No.
Yeah.
I know.
You didn't have to hold out.
No.
There's just
Was
those
that
critters.
was that the first buck that came in?
Yeah, the only one. Yeah.
It's just there's those critters where you just don't even have to go. I wonder what he scores. You just
I
like,
don't care.
yeah.
No. And that was the first time I've ever hunted out of somebody else's blind. Normally it's our, the double bull 360 blind. And so
Right.
you kind of had we were sitting there before, once we got
Adjusting
in there.
it.
Yeah, trying to figure out how things work,
Yeah.
and those chairs, those are a game changer. I'm
I
gonna,
agree.
getting on your knees is,
Oh yeah,
it's
I'm a boy
overrated. It's overrated. My knees must be weak or something because I can't do it for very long. But those chairs, that's the first time I shot
Right.
out of a chair.
where you can move around the
Yes.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are
Rug burn sucks.
So they were.
Had that a few times on my knees.
I'm buying.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know what
No,
you're
you
doing.
don't. You don't want to know that. And I ain't gonna tell you.
Awesome. So when you showed up for camp, though, we're gonna do a little back story here too, a little bit. He was stoved up.
Oh man,
barely walk.
dude! It's been a few years since I'd seen you, and you got out, and I'm thinking, what the heck?
Old man.
So, yeah, recap. I do want to talk a little bit about this because you're a lineman for the power company here, and I had heard about somebody had fallen, but in a competition, but I didn't know it was you. I never heard a name.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy smokes! I mean, you're fortunate that you're
Yes.
here and able to hunt.
Yes. Yep. And I think I think I had my pack set too high on my lower
Oh,
back.
so you were kind of stowed from the elk hunt.
Yeah.
A lot
So
of
in my back, when I fell, I don't have that natural arc anymore.
Uh-huh.
Before it hits like your hips.
Okay.
So my back's straight, and so it was pushing hard on that to give it the arc, and I think and it just tightened up on that one side, and it was pretty sore. I'm better now.
Tell us a little bit. Like we all know what happened, but tell everybody else. What happened to you?
Just so I think I've been with Idaho Power for maybe a year, and they had an Idaho Power lineman rodeo, and so I jumped on a team from when I was working at Payette, and so a 4-man team, and then they had individual events. If you wanted to do them, you can do them. And so I jumped on that speed climb and climbed the first time, and then so my first climb was the fastest of everybody, but then they called the top 2 climbers out at the very end of the whole competition thing, and that's when I tried to beat my own time, and they just went over the top and fell 35 feet to the dirt.
So your last, the way I understand it, your
Yeah,
rope.
my belt went. So my first climb, I had my belt all loose, so there was no resistance against the pole. It's pretty much just climbing straight up. And when I got to where you have to carry an egg down the pole, so there's a grunt bag that has not a hard-boiled egg, like a raw egg in it, and you have to take the egg out, put it in your mouth, and throw the bag, and then you climb down without breaking it or doing anything. And so when I did that, I had my belt all the way done, and so I was trying to reach a long ways. So I figured if I got my belt above a little higher, it'd suck me into the pole, and I can do it. And that one last throw, when I got to where I wanted to be, it just went right over the top.
Over the top of the
Yep,
pole.
over the top, and I saw the inside of the belt, and and it felt like a long ways down.
It is.
A long time,
A long ways down.
A long time too. It felt like 20 seconds, honestly.
Jeez.
Looked out and you could see everybody's
That was
eyes. They were
horrible.
big, but
Yeah. And
No.
Mike got to watch that happen.
I don't want to
Yeah.
see that again. That was horrible.
I bet.
Yeah.
7
bet.
vertebrae in my lower back, 4 screws in my right heel, and my left hip, 3 hair or little fractures, and then I broke the hip completely in half.
And you still got to have another surgery to.
Eventually
Archie.
on my back, I'll probably have the back fused, but as of right now, I'm fighting through it. But no, it was rough. That next, and I didn't feel it when the goat came in. No, so when I put my bow back, you get that adrenaline going. I didn't.
That's what matters.
Yeah, then
Right?
I felt like a little kid having everybody's skin and gut my goat, and so, yeah.
Happy to help. It was fun.
No, yeah, I appreciate it because I would have been probably just laying there dead with him if it was by myself.
Right.
Spooning.
Yeah, just cuddling, yeah. And just,
Thank God for 800 milligram ibuprofen.
yeah, no. But no, that was, normally you go out there and you sit for a few hours, and I have a hard time.
So does sitting like with your back, does it?
No,
too
not
bad.
if I have a back, if I can. That's why those chairs were sweet, because it was comfortable.
Yeah.
I had the armrests, and I'm gonna get one, that's for sure.
No. Yeah, they're definitely
it
worth the
was-
money.
I have a hard time sitting more than 6 hours.
Just
My
your
brain races.
Okay,
and it
just-
yeah.
yeah.
I gotta,
Outside of the accident.
yeah. So with that, that's just me. About 1-2 o'clock, I'm done. I'm ready to go back and do something else.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. Like so the physical aspect of antelope hunting's
Mental.
zero, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
just
mental
mentally,
aspect.
yeah, you just gotta be.
Oh
yeah.
my!
I take my iPad and I got movies going and whatever I need. And like I said, that phone thing too. There's been a few times where in the past I just turn my phone on and put my earbuds in and listen to music or whatever. And because that's another thing too. You don't really have to hear anything. You just keep looking out.
That's true.
So
very true. I play the
going.
hell out of Angry Birds myself.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Or watch flies.
Angry music.
Yes, exactly. Cool. Right on. Yeah. I'd actually went. Well, we did the podcast that morning.
Yeah.
And so Jack and I, after the podcast went over to the middle blind there, and there was no chairs in it. First hadn't thought about it, and I was going, God, I wonder if those guys brought their their chairs. So I went to the third blind, and as I crested that hill, I see them down there. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're done already. So I stole their chairs.
Oh, so they'd taken your
But
chairs.
they were their chairs, so
Yeah.
They said
you didn't take them; they were already in that blind, right?
Yeah. You guys told us not to take ours because there was chairs in there. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but anyway, that worked out awesome. So anyway,
Who was next?
there's 3 of us left.
That's me.
Frank was next.
Frank was next.
Yeah, it was
Frankie's
me.
next.
Mine just said a little bit longer than the rest of these
I
guys.
think Frank's got the record.
Yeah, I got there Friday night and then got everything set up. Got out Saturday morning. Scott was with me and had a buck come in at 30 yards and shot over his back, missed him. And I thought it was a done deal, but you know, the bucks, they're smart. You know, I didn't give him enough time to settle in, and I was ready to get one done because I said there was 8 of us. I wanted to get it done, and
I'm good right now, thanks.
he jumped my string. He jumped it, and
Same.
you know, you miss them. There's another day, and so we're sitting there, and like John said, him and Jack, they went past their blind. We're sitting there, Scott and I. All of a sudden we hear quad coming back. Like, there's no way they're done already. They cannot be done. They pull right to the blind, and there's the horn sticking out. Like, you gotta be kidding. So then we called it. It was probably about 2 o'clock.
That was day 2, right?
Yeah, that was day 2. We were done. We're like, okay, let's go have a beer with the guys and help clean and relax and BS with everybody. And so we done that. But got back up on Monday. Scott and I got out there, and antelope were moving early. I mean, we were looking out, and I mean, right at light, and antelope all over the place. You know, especially to the east. And we had these 4 does come in. We looked, they were 20 yards, 15 yards. They took off, and next thing we know, we're just looking. It's probably 8:30, and I looked. Hey, here's a doe and a fawn coming in, and we didn't see her. And so they came in. We're looking. I look back out, like, holy cow! There's a buck coming up. And so we're sitting there and trying to figure out where he's going to come at. And by the time we situate everything, we look out. I just kind of move over to my left, and I'm like, Scotty's right there. And so we're trying to switch places inside the blind and being as quiet as we can, and then get the camera rolling and everything else. And so we're moving, and we didn't range him. It was just, I'm like,
pin.
okay, I'm ready. Go ahead and drop that window. All I seen was the fawn look up, the doe look up, the buck look up. He put his head back down. He was thirsty, and I just pulled back, put that 20-yard pin, and just smacked him hard. But we had to adjust. But this buck come in, and it was cool. I mean, nobody flinched, nothing. You know, the fawn and the doe. I mean, they watched me pull back, but they weren't scared. They weren't nervous. It was cool. I mean, he was a tall buck. Nothing great about him, but the meat's going to be good. John loves having the meat that I give him.
100%.
Do you eat it much?
Huh?
You don't eat it much?
Oh, I'll eat it out there at camp and stuff. My wife, she's just not a big wild game eater. And so I'll give it to John, and John will invite me over, and we'll eat some here and there.
Yep. That's
Camp
good.
was, did you have some at camp that
Oh
night
yeah,
too?
the heart, man. That
What about eating the loins or tenderloin? Did you have any of that?
yeah, because
I cooked some
you
up.
cooked them that night when you come back out that evening. You cooked them. Oh man, it was delicious. That was delicious.
It is
but-
good stuff.
The heart's phenomenal.
Oh man,
I gotta.
yeah,
I know, I showed up too
people
late.
that never had heart. They're
Yeah.
missing some,
Yeah.
something delicious.
We typically will eat the hearts while we're out there
Oh,
still,
man.
which has been kind of started. We did just start doing it last year, right? Or we done?
It was
2
last
years?
year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe 2 years, and so that's kind of become a thing for us to eat them while we're out there, and we kind of ate them as appetizers this year, and
Yes,
Threw
we
a
did.
pile of them away. I'll tell you.
Over the years. Over
I know,
the
yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
That's
not no more.
Oh no, they don't go to
that's
waste
not
no more.
happening anymore.
No, they don't.
They're so
do they?
good. And then that was the last day you could hunt too.
That was the
huh?
last day I could.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, so it worked
Perfect.
out perfect. I mean,
Well, that's when we went and got ice. Jared and
Yeah.
I left
And
and
we
went and got ice
ran
and
across
came
that
back
coming
and
up.
hooked you up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
so they gave us a couple beers for the ride out. So I mean, that worked out all right.
We got a dog invading us here.
She'll
Sorry.
be looking for that for a while now.
Right. Yeah.
But-
Squeaking.
No,
away.
it's a great hunt. I mean, John and I think we've been doing it the longest out there.
Yeah.
It's 20 plus years that we've been out
crazy.
there.
Oh yeah.
It's
And so
awesome.
We've killed some
Killed a
good
couple.
goats.
Killed a
We've,
couple.
you know, we've talked about this. I mean, it's been great, and then we've enjoyed just the company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, get
That's
good
the
old
best
rain.
part right there, man.
Yeah.
Remember the one time, I
Camaraderie.
think it was the three of us that was out there sitting in the front of my truck. It was raining so hard.
yeah.
You couldn't
Lightning.
even see out the front
Yeah.
window. It was raining so hard.
We've had some pretty good rodeos in the rain out there
man.
Yes, we
over the
have.
years.
Lightning striking.
Right.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
I think
Same
that
fires
one
in the
year where
distance.
Jared and I were the two that got some. That year was a bad year for rain.
Yeah. That's what happened.
Was that the year you're talking about?
Nope.
E3? No, another year.
No,
No,
it was
I don't
before
think it
that.
was. It was
yeah,
before
it's
that.
been quite a while ago.
Because them antelope, if there's a puddle in the road,
Yep.
they'll drink out of that before they go to a pond or trickle or
Oh, yes,
whatever.
they will.
If it
Well,
just-
that fire road they built is
Yeah.
perfect. It's
Yeah.
so nice. So much nicer than the original road.
Right.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Amazing. Coming on in there, it's like amazing.
Yeah. It made a big difference
Yeah.
getting in there for sure.
But that old road still holds puddles. It still
it does.
It
yeah,
does,
holds
yeah.
a lot of puddles.
Yeah. But that ground does suck it up fairly quickly.
does,
So if you
yep.
can get some rain and you're okay, but if you get
Downpour. It's
downpours
tough.
and it
Yeah.
downpours out there, then
Yeah.
it gets pretty crazy.
And we've seen those downpour, lightning, wind like you won't believe.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Poor
I've been out to
You,
this one
we
year.
make sure everything's tied down.
Yeah.
There's nothing
Yeah.
that's not tied down.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, Mike this year built some big old anchors for everybody on
Oh,
the tents and
yeah,
everything.
those are awesome.
We make sure nothing flies
Yeah.
around.
I'm getting some more. Brian
Yeah.
said, I got like 8 more if you want them. I said, I'll take them.
Yeah.
Hold everything down out there.
That is that was like awesome to put in the tents. And yeah, that one year John was talking about, he left his tent out there
Yeah.
and he said just go ahead and use it and take it down. And I come back and it was after dark and I pull up and it was just blowed over and it had tore. Actually, it was so windy out there that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
No.
Well, that one trip you were telling me the time where, was that Tim's tent or Frank's tent?
That was
Where
actually.
it like had all the sleeping bags in it and it totally was erect and it launched and it like
Yeah, it
rolled
did.
across the ground
Yeah.
like a cookie.
Right.
Yep, I was out
Well,
there.
it launched it in
It
the
was-
air.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Tim and I was out there. We were hunting. He just killed his goat, and all of a sudden this wind come up, microburst come up, and we're sitting there underneath like a little awning. We're just leaning, kind of covering up the antelope that we were scanning, and all of a sudden we looked over, and our tent come up off the ground about 15 feet with cots, sleeping bags, and just starts heading over to the road. And just up in
Wow.
the wind, all of a sudden, it
Fully
just
erect.
open wide up on the bottom, and cots come
Tore-
flying out.
Really?
And it completely tore the floor out. It was
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
But you know where we camp at?
Yeah.
It took that tent over the road. We go out to the blinds on.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean it picked it up.
Wow,
And it
that's-
was it was crazy.
The
so
yard-
the wind does
it's like
get
a yard sale out there.
yeah.
We're looking for cots, not sheds.
That's right. So yeah, we make sure things are tied down out there now.
Exactly. So anyway, Mike, it's down to you and I at this
Yeah.
point, right?
Yeah.
I was next.
And Mike is
Tuesday.
next.
Tuesday morning.
Was that your last? You pretty much
We
took
had
the
till
whole week,
Friday,
didn't you?
yeah.
Yeah, we had pretty much the whole week, but you know, it was like, I just wanted my boy to get one to have mounted, and we talked about it all year. It was good. It was good stuff. We talked about it, and I said, I just want you to kill one to have mounted. I got several nice ones on the wall, and I was
Yeah.
like, he's got to get one. You know, I'll just shoot anything. I don't care.
But you still got
I
a
didn't
good
care.
go. Yeah.
It was a decent buck. I
Yeah.
mean, he didn't have the very big prongs, but still a nice buck. Made a hell of a shot on it. I
Oh.
mean, it was. I'd rather be lucky any day of the week than skillful.
Now you had to pull. You
I
pulled
would
it
rather
together,
be lucky
man. and-
any day of the week than skillful.
Yeah.
Because it was. I mean, I watched it, and I literally on the film when we were doing it, I told Jared, I said, he jumped the string. Do you see that? And he didn't see it, and you got to keep watching it. But he does. He turns. When I shot, it was 45 yards, and when I shot, it hit him above the hindquarters and clipped both freaking arteries, man. And he pumped it right. He died in like 10 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. And you could just see it just
The
coming
blood
out
coming
both
out.
sides. And I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah. And it was like, yeah. And he like, lady went, I don't feel good. I think I'm just going to lay right here, and he ain't getting back up. And he did. He laid down, and it was cool shit.
Yeah, it was
good
super cool.
stuff.
And how many hours did you guys sit total?
That was like 2 hours for that one and like 30 minutes for mine. So
Wow.
So we didn't sit very long at all.
Less
it
than
was
3
good
hours,
Stuff,
I-
good stuff, man.
you get spoiled when it happens like that.
Yeah,
know.
and you know
It's
you
true.
don't take it for granted because you just never
It's
know.
not
Didn't
gonna
you have those
happen.
other years where you sit 30 hours?
Yeah.
Well, you know that one spot, that back hole, it's like there's a ridge that kind of runs along
Yeah, you
there.
can't see
Yeah.
very far.
And you can't see very far, so you're like looking, you
talked
know.
about that.
And there's
Yeah.
one brush on the east end of it, kind of right there, and I seen his head go bunk. I go, we got a spot coming in. Buck. Jared's like looking, and yeah, I see him. And he come down, and he was pretty leery, wasn't he?
Yeah, he took his time.
Yeah, he took his
probably
time coming
15
in.
minutes to come in.
He wasn't like not in a big
Running
hurry.
in there.
Yeah, no other antelope with him.
But
in
he
by
was
himself.
thirsty, man.
Those ones can be kind of hard to kill because
Yeah.
if they come in weird like that,
Usually they'll let the bucks will let the does come in, and by the time the buck comes in, everything's settled. Though they're feeling
He gets comfortable.
Using the
comfortable.
Right.
using the decoys.
Yeah, yeah,
Using the
exactly.
decoys.
Yeah, just go ahead, honey.
And see,
Yeah,
that's-
you could do it. Elk are really bad.
And that was
about
one funny one thing funny with us is that morning we sat there and we watched this doe come off that same spot, and I told Scott, you know what? Let's put something out there to make sure that the antelope come over our way. So we wind up putting my bow case out there and then my case for the blind out in two different spots. And when the first one come up over and seen it, it was really spookish. And she came right, 20 yards from us because there's something out of the ordinary there.
Yeah.
And so we thought, okay, let's see if this happens. And it did. It wound up working. Of course, in this buck, he come in, he didn't even care. He wasn't even looking that direction anyway.
right?
So I was listening to the mantra thing the night before.
Yeah.
Daryl was telling me about mantra. And I'm
works.
thinking tantra. Mantra. I'm thinking tantra. Heard that before? Daryl says, oh, you got to do it, man. It's amazing. And it works. I'm not going to lie to you. It works.
Yeah.
I talk to myself. Jared says, Dad, he's coming. He's coming. He ranges it. He says 50 yards.
45.
Well, 50 first.
Initially.
And then you go 45.
Oh.
And he came in and he watered, put his head down. And I'm going, you got this, you got this. I go, both eyes open, aim for a spot, pick a spot,
Squeeze the trigger.
squeeze the trigger. Exactly. And I talked myself through it.
Yeah.
And I was amazing.
Makes big.
And I
such a
wasn't
big
going,
difference.
geek, 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 my heart going, duk, 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 and your neck all going, duk, 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 you know, I mean, I was like, yeah. Ooh, let it happen, and it worked.
Yeah.
Freaking worked, man. I was amazed.
The antelope I missed,
Yeah.
the mantra, I left it at home.
Yeah.
I was shooting on. I wasn't shooting out of the chair. I was shooting off to the side of the camera it was barely open. I was worried about my arrow hitting the blind. And so I had because I was afraid to open it up anymore. So I'm like making sure the arrow's is gonna clear and everything, and I wasn't sitting in the chair. It was one of those where you're kind of squatting a little bit, and I had about that much room on the side of the camera. Yeah, I mean, and so I'm thinking, man, is it gonna clear? Is it clear? Okay, yeah. And I shot, and I don't remember no mantra, no nothing. In fact, I told John, I don't know if I shot, until we looked at the video, we haven't looked at that video part yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if I shot high, low, left, right, I don't know. All I know is it was 19 yards. All I know is I'm thinking, how did I miss that? And then right then I'm thinking, I didn't even, no mantra, no nothing at all, which when you get in the habit of using that,
it's amazing.
it is.
I was like way impressed. I mean,
But the next, when I did shoot my goat, you know, it was 35 and total.
Does everything slow down when you do it, you feel like?
Yeah, because like I says, you know, I was telling your dad, it puts you, when you're talking to yourself in your, you know, in your mind, and your, you know, mind's, here we go. And once you start saying when I start saying here we go, then that gets me focusing on my task at hand, we'll say.
Right.
And then once I get, you know, drawn back, put my pin on there, and then I take my focus off my pin on the bullseye, and I just start focusing on the bullseye. And then for me, you know, it's pull, and then boom, it comes off. Then it goes off as a surprise.
Yeah.
And
that's the way it should be.
Just like a rifle.
Even with a rifle,
Yes,
same way.
exactly.
Same way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See, that's even when, you know, the buck I missed. I mean, I seen him the whole time, and I pulled back, and I let go, and I could see him drop. But the buck that I killed, I put it on him, and I had that sight on his shoulder, and when I let loose, all I seen was just his shoulder, no head, no nothing. It was just like that spot. You focus, you got it.
Yeah.
And when you release, you feel that perfect release. Your bow's still in your hand. Everything's just perfect, and you're like, there it is.
Well, I'm telling you, that one pin is a game changer.
For
I ain't gonna lie to you, that
The
one
single
pin's a
pin?
game changer.
Yeah.
You don't have all this crap right there.
Right.
It's like one thing, and you come down from the top, and you hold it on, and you know right where it is, and you just go, yeah. You don't feel yourself jerking the pin up to let it release. It's just, it's a game changer, man.
That made me
it's a game
way
changer.
better shooter too, for sure. Between Joel Turner's class and he's going to a single pin sight.
Yeah, I agree.
It made me
and you know how many times? I mean, I think about that because I've got a lot of friends that this is the first time I've ever shot a slider like that. I do have a 3-pin on mine, but it's same sight as John is. But but I pretty much use my top pin.
Right.
You know, I have it set and
it's pretty flat.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I can, you know, I when I adjust it, my top pin is, I have it marked on the sight, and that's pretty much what I use. I can use the other ones if I need to, but the whole thing, you know, I had target panic so bad before, and I know I've talked about this in the past, but it was so bad. And
that's a hard thing to break, dude.
It is.
It's really hard to break.
It actually isn't. You prove that.
Mantra.
I mean, it's seriously. It is. It's.
I totally agree with you.
Like Joel said on our podcast.
Yeah.
You know, people ask him, you know, all the time, how much time does it take? And he said 1 arrow. If you can just learn on that 1 arrow, just to do that and do it over and over and over again, I just about guarantee you now, when you shoot, you're going to do that.
I'll think about it every time.
You will.
Well, you know, I talked to Tim Malone a lot about that, and Tim Malone is like shot a lot.
Yeah.
And he told me, he said, if you don't feel right, let it down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pull it back, let it down. Think about it. Say, you know what? I got to focus on this because you get antsy.
Yeah.
When you pull it back, you get antsy, and you're like, oh, it's where it's got to be. It's got to be. And you're like, you just want to touch the trigger, and you can't do that.
Yeah.
You got to let it down and say, hey, I got this.
Or the mantra.
Yeah. And it works. Mantra. I believe you, Daryl. You sold me totally. I was I was doing it. I was totally doing it. Told myself, I got this, man. I got this.
Daryl and I can talk about it a lot. But to listen to it from Joel Turner himself, it just makes so much sense.
It does.
And he just, it's a science.
And the shoulder thing, when you hold the release and make your finger stiff, and then just go like this, and it goes off.
Surprising.
And you're not ready for it, but you know you're on it.
Yeah.
You know
I
you're on
cannot
it.
tell you how many times I'm burning a hole in that bullseye, and I'm watching the X, right? I'm talking paper target like, okay? And my pin, my peripheral vision, I can see the pin kind of moving, but you can't watch your pin. You just keep burning a hole in the bullseye. And I cannot tell you how many times it did not feel like, my pin would just feel like it was moving and you hit a bullseye.
Yep.
Because it's like throwing a baseball. You know, I mean, when you throw a baseball, you're looking at where you're trying to throw it.
Air goes like 12 inches above it, and then it goes right in there, and you're like, yeah.
Well, your
Money.
sight, like Joel said too, your sight's always going to come back. You pick this, you find your spot. Even if you come off of it, in your head, it's going to come back. It's going to come right back to that spot. So you don't need to concentrate
on your pin.
As much as you do your actual target.
Dude,
shot.
I mean, in the past, I used to do flybys. I mean, when that pin came up, boom.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
pull the trigger right when it's swinging by. I cannot tell you.
Really.
I've tried.
Seriously.
I've had every type of lock it left, right, low, high. You know, I mean, it's. I mean,
you're not consistent when you do that.
No, not at all. You can't.
Not at all.
And taking your time too, because listening to everybody talk here, when I missed that buck out there that weekend, I just remember pulling back here and then just pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
But the buck I killed,
squeeze.
Even though I knew the doe, fawn, and that buck seen me, it was just pull back
and squeeze.
Got it on him, took my time, and then just squeezed that trigger, and that was it. I mean, it just not being in a rush, relaxing, and taking that breath.
The single pin thing. Do you shoot single pin?
No, I got the 3-pin.
3-pin?
Probably like what you're doing.
Yeah.
With that little slide.
Yeah. So I was gonna talk about it earlier. How that single pin. I used to. What my biggest concern used to be was having enough time to adjust. Just most anything.
But blind, you have time. You know what I mean, like that.
But think about it.
You don't have.
When I think about it,
33, 39.
Right.
Yeah.
How many times where I know I'm going to stop an animal, let's say an elk, for instance. Most of the time, I've already ranged in
Multiple locations.
Yeah, multiple locations. So I'm not going to range him. I most of the time I've ranged already, so I know within a couple yards.
Yeah.
And let's face it, all of us shoot fast enough bows, good enough equipment. You can have a margin of error, for a few yards.
Yes.
So you do have time, though, is my point. If you see, okay, he's walking through this way right here, he's going to probably be about right there. Range that, you can cow call, stop him, and you can be ready, and you have time. A friend of mine is one guy I hunt with in Arizona. He's always shot a single pin, and even Wayne Carlton, he shot single pin for many years. He leaves us at 30, but he says, it seems like you always have time to adjust it.
Exactly. And Joel talked about that too, about going through the mantra, because when I was taking this class, I'm thinking, I don't have time when I'm pulling back on an animal to go through this whole mantra. And he literally said, yes, you do.
You do.
And he's not wrong.
Yeah.
And I think it's soaked into me, and we talked, and I talked about this when Joel was on the podcast, was I got to kill a bear.
Yeah, right.
Like a month or a month and a half after Joel was on our podcast, or after I took his class. And I'd been practicing, and I went through the whole mantra with that bear, and I freaking drilled it. So I'm like, he's right. You do have time for that. But you just in your head, you don't think you do.
Exactly.
And you're gotta rush.
Yes.
And the sad part is you can still get that. That still tries to creep back in your head.
Does. Yeah.
And you just gotta shut that door, as Joel says.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta shut that door.
Yep.
And go through he explained that burning house, the party house.
Exactly. Yeah.
He explained that so well on the podcast. If you haven't watched it, you should.
Yep.
Because it's good.
Exactly.
Because he goes through that whole thing. And,
exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
Can't talk enough about that.
Can I talk about my hunt yet?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little left out.
It's going to take some time.
It's time. We got kind of sidetracked, so it's time.
I know I was last.
Let's hear it, man. Let's hear it.
Really?
Note the new Nomad pants here.
We got to watch it. We got to watch it.
Yeah, so
that's right.
I appreciate you guys letting me talk about it. I feel a little bummed out right now. But anyway, yeah, so I was last, and we saw this buck coming. Jack and I, and we're like, oh my, you know, we could tell from wise out he looked like a great buck. He was not super tall, but his prongs went way out, so it made him look freaking huge, which, by the way, he was not. But
He's good.
Yeah,
good
but
buck.
he's still a nice buck.
Yeah.
he still made the book,
prongs
right?
are the
Yeah.
ones that you
Like
want
we
to
care
do.
about
We do a
that.
tape out.
So
and
anyway,
he's
this
just
buck
first.
he's probably what, 300 yards out or so, coming right to the hole with another little buck. And pretty soon here comes this red four-wheeler over the hill. These guys right here.
Not going to mention no names.
No, Jared called it. I said,
yeah.
we're getting really close to where they're at. And as soon as we get up, he goes, we're here. Shut it off. And I go, perfect. And those goats never even
Did
looked
you even
out.
had you even seen there was goats
Yes,
coming in?
we saw them coming in, yeah.
Okay.
And they didn't even pay
Dude,
attention.
in the video, I watched that clip. It looks like you guys are from here to the wall.
They
didn't
But
even-
you were a long ways
Same
away.
way
Yeah, they
when
were
we looked at
probably-
the antelope to the blind, and we were thinking anytime he's going to shoot, because we're looking at him from behind, and it looked
Yeah.
like it was a lot
Looked
closer
like
than
John
it
could
was.
just stick
Yeah.
his arrow out.
I'd probably had better luck if I could do that. So we're going to talk about this.
Tim Will's spear.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I do want to talk about this because you don't always make great shots, even with the mantra, right? So they did stop, and I had Jack waving his arms out the backside of the
Yeah.
blind, but they didn't see it. But luckily they had seen the buck, and we weren't
Yeah,
sure.
we've seen it.
Anyway, he did finally came in, and he started drinking about 25 yards. But he was facing right towards me with his head down drinking, and I've made that shot. I probably shot more bucks that way than I have broadside. But for
I've been with
whatever
you two
reason,
times when you've done that.
yeah, exactly.
Two
And
times. Yep.
whatever reason, I got nervous. I did, and I shot him back too far. Not super far, but it was a gut shot. Just gonna say it, but it went out guacamole, and it literally was when I skinned him out. So anyway, he just went out 100 yards and laid down, and so we could still
How
see.
far was your shot, you said?
My shot was only 26 yards, and anyway, which I should have just hammered him, but for whatever reason, I did not. And so we let him lay for a little over an hour. And he stood up, and when he stood up, he started going backwards. Like he almost fell over backwards, and then he took 2 steps forward, and he just laid right back down.
Done.
And I was like, Jack, this buck is not going. He can't walk. Like I'm just gonna get out of the blind and shoot him. As soon as I went out the backside of the blind, and of course I tried to sneak up on him, but he just was laying there, and and as soon as he saw me, boom, he was gone. Like
Acting like
nothing. Like he never even got shot. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So I had done this before. I've done it both with antelope, and I've done it with a bull that I shot with my muzzleloader one time. And if they're wounded bad enough, you can
Bulldog them.
yeah, bulldog them, and they're gonna wear out. So I did that, and it took me about an hour and a half to wear him out. But fortunately, where we're at, it's flat, so you don't lose sight of him. And I could just watch him, and he'd run and lay down. So I knew he was hurt bad. It was just a matter of time. And so finally he just gave it up, and I was able to walk up to 29 yards, and I shot and killed him. But
Dude, I see John do that one year. He shot one. It was a good shot, but it didn't kill him.
right,
He took off. We went out after him, and he made a shot. I
Oh,
said,
the launch shot?
yeah, he ever stacked pins? And he was like, never done that. I go, we're gonna do it right now. And that goat was laying there, and he goes, that's 80 yards. I go, put your 60 up in the clouds, see where that's hitting, stack it up, and my God, he did it. He went, and it went right through him, and
he just piled up.
I
Yeah,
remember
smoked
telling
him,
you
and
about
I was
that.
like, holy
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
Works.
we all like the quick kills, but
Yeah.
reality
Yeah,
is
works.
it's
And-
not always like that,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
No, no.
And so, but I'm glad you got him. I
Well,
mean,
we covered
Me
it.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a bummer, and it makes you so mad because you shoot
kind of humbles
and
you
shoot.
a little.
It
really
does. It does, and it doesn't.
We've
You're
all
gonna
done
have
it.
those shots.
Yeah.
I mean, you just are, and it's unfortunate.
It's
So,
called
but it
hunting,
is
man.
hunting.
So do you think? Were you anticipating him moving or something? Do you think with your shot where you hit him? You know.
No, I honestly, and I don't know why. I usually don't let this creep into my head, but I was worried about his head popping up. because he was so nervous coming in.
That's right. He was.
And so I think I aimed, and I was nervous about it, so I wasn't holding my pen as tight as I should have been, and I also was holding back further than I normally would have. I like to shoot him right.
You were kind of anticipating him moving. Is that
right below
it was
that
in my
big
head,
bone.
like Joel says, you got to close that door, and I did not close the door, and so I was thinking about other stuff, and I was worried about him popping his head up, and I shouldn't have, and
it happens. I mean, at least you. Next time you'll know to try to correct that. That's all you can do.
Yeah, exactly. So but it worked out good. We recovered him.
Yeah.
Yep. That's all that matters.
And you finished off the 8.
I did. I was finally.
The hateful man. That, you know, I mean,
the hateful 8.
I know people are going to think, oh, it must be, you know, it's, and like I said, it's not a horrible spot by no means at all, but the stars have never aligned, it's never aligned this good.
They're here.
No.
Right now.
I mean, and that, honestly, like I said earlier, I think the heat had played such a big role in
I
it.
agree.
Well, yeah, because prior to that, we were pushing 100 degrees for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, so everything lined up perfect.
It
I
did.
mean,
That's true.
Like I said, we were out there, Mike, you know, getting hot. We're getting
Frothy.
hot. I mean, I sat there for 3 days. 3 days. And Scott
What time
kept
do you
asking
usually
me,
get out of
so,
your blinds?
3 o'clock.
Is that time?
Scott asked me, hey, so what time we get out? 3 o'clock. Except for when John came by, we were like, okay, let's go have a beer. We called it a day. We were like, okay, let's go have a beer. But I told Scott how long you wanted to sit. I said 3 o'clock at least. And that first day we were there 3 o'clock. And so, and you know, you talked about having your ear pods and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have nothing. John
neither do
plays
I.
Angry Bird. I just sit and I look. If I can stay awake.
That's true. Frank is on point the whole time. I'm
Really?
like, I can't do it.
No.
I was playing Castle Wreck.
I even tell Scott, hey, I'm going to try to fall asleep here. I never fell asleep. I'm like, okay. Let's look here. Let's look. I'm standing up, looking out back and everything.
Yep.
I remember I woke up one time because I was snoozing, and I heard, and I look up, and this buck was walking away with dirty feet because he pulled them out of the mud.
He was
and he's
there.
walking away. He was there. He was there, and I was whistling, trying to get him to stop. Now he just walking dead away from me. So yeah, I try not to fall asleep, and that other stuff kind of keeps me.
I've done that before.
The flights keep me up too, though.
Yeah.
I mean, land on your legs, land on your neck.
That's no kidding.
And again, somebody has to remember fly strips next year.
No kidding.
I got them. I had a
We
pile
always
of
bring
them.
them.
Did you? And
I had a
did
pile
you put them
of
in your
them.
blind then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had
they
a
work?
pile of those little.
Did they help?
They work.
Well, how do you know? You weren't in there long enough.
Yeah, there was maybe one fly on it.
I'll tell you. Thermocell.
They were still too
Thermocell
cold.
thing works
Yeah,
wonderful
exactly.
for that.
I've heard that.
For even for
before.
the flies too?
Yeah. Works
Oh.
good. Works good.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Works good.
I got one somewhere, and I know they work, but I
think I
just
have one, too.
I always
They work
forget about
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I had a fly strip
hour
one
and a
year, and it
half.
did work good.
Yeah.
Well, and a little side note too for everybody is I think a local archery shop will be selling lighted knocks
Oh,
Oh yeah, let's talk about that a little
right.
bit.
Lighted
right.
knocks are
for
wonderful.
everybody. So yeah.
did you use them?
Yeah,
Yes.
he did. He did.
Did you
So
guys?
we
You
both
did-
we
you
both
did.
did.
What about you guys? Did you
No,
have light?
no.
No, but
I got
We
it.
went
I
out
just have
looking
it.
for his.
so Jared had shot his buck, and
We looked for probably 20-30 minutes for it, and then we just didn't think anything of it. I was like, well, there goes the $60 arrow,
Yeah.
or it's okay.
Whatever it is,
it happens when you're hunting. But we get back to camp and we're talking to John, telling him about it and everything. He's like, well, didn't you have lighted knocks? I'm like, yeah. He's like, let's go tonight. I'm like, that is a great idea. Didn't even think about that. I'm like, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
so but we went out
found
there
it,
and
too.
yeah.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah,
we
like,
was right next to it.
literally drove up to the blind, and we could see it.
John, like, there it is, right there.
Does yours blink?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, mine blinks. I'm getting his next year. His just stays green, and
Yeah.
you could see him in the daylight with the sun.
Oh,
Like mine,
Tussie
you can't.
shot his with one, and of course, the antelope fell right there,
Yeah.
so we didn't have to really go look for it.
No.
But yeah, I would have liked to have one with the one I missed because
Right.
I could have.
Yeah.
See where
Maybe
shot
found
went.
Tracked it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
gone, oh man, yeah. he must
No,
have
I
over
mean, it was
100.
cool. I mean, we pulled up there, and it was like here to the end of John's deck here, and there it is. John's like, wow.
Yeah.
There it
This
is.
just sold it to.
Yeah.
Just sold it.
Yeah.
Just sold it.
Well,
definitely-
video-wise,
yeah,
I think it'll be awesome. Pairs is where I was thinking, you know.
100%. Yeah, because I don't
Because-
think even on the videos, your guys' videos, like I couldn't see the knock going through.
No.
But I think for bears with the
Late
timber over the
evening,
top and
dark
stuff,
stuff, yeah.
like
Dark.
it's gonna be badass.
On mine, if you slow it down, you can see it. Looks like it's really like porpoise and shit. It's like,
Yes.
yeah, it looks pretty bad. But it's
It
straightened
did
out.
the job. Right? Meat in the freezer.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
All
no,
right,
it was
so
cool.
That was cool.
I'm smelling tri-tip
Yeah.
on the smoker, and I'm feeling like
We're
we
talking
should.
about elk hunting.
Let's
What
do
we got
it really
coming up
quick.
next?
Yeah.
Who is going elk hunting? Who's going elk hunting next?
This guy?
Scott,
I was this weekend and
Yeah.
no activity, but
you went this weekend? Oh, that's right. We were worried about you coming back.
Yeah.
I made it.
Yeah, good. Good. Nothing?
Nothing. There's a ton of people.
Was
I think
it?
it was
Yeah.
getting hit too hard.
Are you going back
Hopefully I get some time off, but
next weekend?
yeah, we'll see how work goes.
We entered up this marriage for elk season.
That's
Right.
right. We got a wedding to go to next Saturday, so
It should be
Dude,
against the law
obviously
for
the guy's
people to
not a
get married.
hunter.
Yeah, exactly. Who gets
Yeah.
married in September?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Our
Or
wife
worse.
that had the birthday,
Yes.
23rd of September, right in the middle of hunt season.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Exactly.
buddy of mine, he always have to come back.
Yeah.
I got a buddy of mine that has to always come back.
Yeah, I know. And then I have a daughter that has 2 grandkids, the 13th and 14th of September.
Really?
Damn it.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's really all I need. My other daughter have kids in September.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to
What's
plan
wrong with you, girl? What's wrong with you, girl?
Yeah.
September for archery is oh man.
I'm heading up
Thought
tomorrow.
I taught you better.
Are you?
Yeah.
Where you heading?
I got a wallow. I got trail cameras on. I wasn't able to make it there for almost 2 weeks because of the fires. The roads were closed. And I went and checked my camera Friday. And I got a nice 6-point coming in,
Oh,
spike
sweet.
and something else. Yeah, I don't know if I even got
No,
a chance to tell
we
you
haven't
that
talked about
a bear came in. And,
Nice.
and
Wow.
so I'm going to go up tomorrow morning early and sit there, and then I'm going to get my trophy line tree saddle
Yep.
up in the tree and
Yep.
sit there tomorrow and Tuesday, and then I'll probably go back the last 4 or 5 days, something like that.
Super
Hopefully-
cool.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I'm ready. I need to kill. Look,
Me
I'm
too.
ready to kill something.
Exactly.
You know the weather's
Your
changed
next-
I
pretty
haven't
good
killed a
here.
bull in a couple of years, so I'm kind of due.
Yeah, well, neither have I. What am I talking about? Well, it's been 3 years. I shot that one with my muzzleloader about 3 years. Is it 3? Well, this will be the 3rd year. So,
Nice.
I saw some tri-tip.
Yeah.
so do I. I'm getting
Yeah,
hungry.
we got some tri-tip and bacon fried cabbage.
Cabbage. I like cabbage.
It'll be
Small
good.
hands.
Yeah.
Carnival people.
Some
Carnival folk.
ceviche,
Guacamole.
Yeah.
guacamole.
Can't forget that.
Let's wrap this up so we can go eat.
Okay.
Starving.
Sounds
Get
good.
hungry.
Right on.
Thanks, guys. We really appreciate everyone coming, man. It was
Oh, thanks for
it was a
having
blast.
Thanks for having us.
Oh man, it was awesome. I've been.
Yeah.
This popped into my head while we were out there. Like, oh, we got to do a podcast
Yeah.
about this, just about this hunt,
Sure.
and hopefully we can do
Awesome.
it again going forward. You know, so we
Yeah.
can talk about our hunts and
Maybe
stuff.
even
and-
get back after elk season.
Yeah.
So everybody's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. You know, Johnny and I, of course, we got that muzzleloader hunt here
Yes.
Yeah.
in November.
Yeah, so we'll do one
So,
after that
yeah.
too. Hopefully.
What do you mean, hopefully?
Well, hopefully it's worth talking
Yeah.
about.
It'll be worth talking about.
We got deer too coming up in October.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of hunting
Nobody,
left,
nobody drew anything that I know.
so super stuck.
We got some predator shit coming too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Predator stuff. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm
Predator
so glad.
stuff coming.
I'm so
Yes.
glad you just mentioned that. So Mike owns nature calls,
Yep.
predator calls, and he does a pile of coyote hunting. So we are super looking forward to.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna do another podcast
We
together
are.
talking about coyote hunting. But I
Yep.
wanted you guys to get into the season first and talk about
Yeah.
that, and we'll kind of show the process at some point of he hand makes his calls. At your house, right?
Yep, I do 'em.
He's got
Yep.
a lathe there and does them all there, and he's been doing for a bunch of years.
Long time.
Yeah.
15 years.
So we're super stoked about
Yeah.
kind of adding that to this whole mix
Yeah,
too.
there's a lot of people. That's great off season I mean, just
Absolutely.
definitely gives you something to do. Plus,
That's
the practice and.
Yeah.
So some of the things have changed. I know we don't want to get too much of it, but some things have changed in the laws now for predator hunting, right? Isn't there? You can hunt them at night and stuff now. Can you?
Can't hunt them at night. And if you do hunt them at night, you got to have permission from the landowner with a signed.
Okay, so there is
Waiver.
some.
Yeah.
A gray area, I guess.
Yeah, there's a gray area there.
Well,
But
didn't some things change with illuminations or something like that, along with the lighted knocks and expandables? There was something else in that deal with wolf hunting too, right?
Are you talking about night vision or something like that?
Maybe it's night vision.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
there's
guessing.
something there. I know because
thermal vision.
could been.
Haven't heard that. Haven't
Yeah,
heard
we'll have to
anything
check it
about
out and check it out before we do that podcast, so we can. We don't want to say the
Absolutely.
wrong
Talk about that a
thing, you know.
Yeah.
So when do you fire up? Like when is it good? Like when are the
Well, I'm going to
pelts
be
good?
hitting it pretty hard at the end of October and then run it into November because that's when the fur's good.
Okay.
November.
Sweet.
Fur's really good. But they're not worth nothing, but that's okay. I still got
fun.
like
That's only part of what you do.
I got
Biggest
like
thing is it
16 in the
needs to be
freezer
done.
right now, and I think I'm
Yeah,
going
it
to tan
does.
them up and
Yeah.
do some good shit. We
Yeah.
can like hang them behind us while we're doing the podcast.
Exactly. Hey, no, literally, I'm super stoked. Like, I want to go with you one time.
Yeah, it's fun.
And,
It's fun.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun. I hope we get some footage of that kind
People
of stuff.
just don't get it. They just don't understand how
Yeah.
much fun it is.
But
It's
I just said, you know, too, it's a necessity. They need to be
Sure
controlled
does.
because there's so much more.
There's a lot of predators.
A lot
out
of
there.
predators.
very
out there.
smart animals.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
very smart, and it's like you got to fool them. That's the part of it that's fun, is fooling them.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Making them believe that what you're doing is what you sell.
Legit.
You sell them.
Yeah.
Sell them.
Right.
I'm going to sell them.
Well, really, that's what it is about.
But
Like,
yeah, it is.
well, no, really, like
is
even elk
everything.
hunting, you're selling them, you
You're
know, on a
selling
call. Turkey hunting, you're selling them on a call,
Yeah.
Yep.
or a decoy, or whatever it happens to be. It's all
Exactly.
tied together somehow.
It
It's
is.
all, you know, it's just that predator or that
No, I mean,
animal
it's no
instinct.
different
I
with
guess.
me. You know, I'm the only one here that likes to duck hunt.
I do. I love
like
to
to
duck
duck
hunt.
hunt.
Okay.
I've shot a fair amount of ducks in my time,
Yeah.
and I kind of laid off of it for years. But I lived for it.
Yeah.
at one
See,
time.
that's
You lived on
my
a refuge, didn't you?
yeah.
Yeah, I
my
lived on
October,
duck club.
November, December
Yeah.
is water.
But a lot of those
I
duck
love
hunters
it.
get turned when they go coyote hunting. They get turned to coyote hunters, and they're no more duck hunters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I
we
mean,
can't.
same time of
It
year.
won't take you, so you can still kill birds.
Yeah, they transition. They
Yeah,
transition
you know,
to coyotes,
it's
man.
still
Yeah.
the calling.
Yeah.
It's setting up the decoys right.
Yeah,
And
fun.
everything. It's a lot
Yeah,
of.
you're fooling them.
You've got to
Every
figure
time.
out how to fool them because in the late season, you know, the ducks, you know, if you got mojos and stuff like that, sometimes you got to turn them off because they're so gun shy or decoy shy that they don't want to see anything moving
at all.
And so you got to just kind of change things up. And it's probably the same coyote hunting. You know, whether they get smart,
Well,
you
they got to
gotta
have
change
wind to
things.
land. So if the wind's blowing out of the east or the west, you got to set those decoys on the far side of it so
Yeah.
they could come in and go
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
and land on it.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to have that wind to land.
For
you
sure.
know, as soon as they touch the water, it's over.
Feet out. It's done. It's
Oh,
done.
yeah,
done.
yeah.
They got to touch the
I wait
bottom
to see the
come
whites of
back
their
up.
eyes. That's how close I want them. I want them white eyes.
Nice.
Yeah, no.
right,
we
man,
all
just-
have great things to do.
Oh, yeah.
After this, I mean, there's lots of stuff.
Oh,
still.
man. We're just getting started.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are.
To be honest. So,
Yeah.
anyway.
No, thanks, guys. Appreciate
No,
it.
thank you.
Thank
fun.
you guys.
Now
Yeah.
it's time
This
to
was great.
munch.
Yes.
Too
let's
like
do it.
tripping off our elbows and shit.
Thanks, guys, for watching. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone coming, and we'll see you next time.
Peace
like and
out.
subscribe.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you guys. We actually will have some hunting videos coming out instead of just podcasts soon.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
looking forward to that. So appreciate you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.
Boom.
Thank you.